Rhemus, I think you're jumping the gun.
That's one thing I've never been accused of. I can go on and on and on for hours if need be.
I'm not sure you understood my point. If the hearing was just this week, I'm sure the class members have been given 60 days to opt in after the mailing occurs. I don't imagine the claims administrator, presuming one has been chosen, has even mailed out the opt-in notices yet.
Then my interjection is premature?
Yes, your notion nobody has opted in is premature.
I'm quite confident nobody will opt in. My psychic is always right.
I do suspect there will not be a lot of opt-ins on that rather embarrassing purchase and accident.
I can imagine the testimony now. Some guy whose stomach's bigger than his... Well, if his stomach wasn't so damn big, he'd be able to see his... And then he gets stuck, and the paramedics come. He's all out of lubricant. The paramedics run to his pantry and start pouring vegetable oil everywhere. Mr. Gerber, do you think a power tool would be safe?
Not in a delicate situation like that!
I'm not a sexist. I really am not. But what if the paramedics used to be an au naturel dancer at my ranch? Nature Girl joined the Santa Barbara paramedics a couple of years back. If she showed up, oh God, that poor man would be stuck the rest of his life.
Okay, I think the testimony and evidence in this particular trial is likely to attract the media attention. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and I'd like you to give me a call about a real workplace class action. I can be reached at 877-525-0700 for a case about unpaid wages during the week during normal business hours. That's 877-525-0700 if you're an employee who needs representation in California. We have offices all over the place in California. That's 877-525-0700 for the real workplace lawyer, Karl Gerber. We've got Rhemus Helms in studio tonight, and I don't know, the empowerment zone thing that he might get involved in and all this. We're going to find out what happens next and if anyone got stuck when we come back to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
Bacon Fest is on at Wendy's. Wendy's sells the most bacon cheeseburgers in America, so we're celebrating with Bacon Fest and turning up the sizzle with the bacon double stack and the $5 biggie bag. Get ready for tons of hot and crispy bacon hits, like the $5 biggie bag featuring the bacon double stack, 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink for just $5. Only with Wendy's Bacon Fest. Based on servings among quick service restaurants over a 12-month period ending March 2019. Source the NPD Group Press. Price of participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
Right now, Doctors Without Borders medical teams are operating in some of the most remote and dangerous corners of the world. When front yards become front lines, at the crossroads of conflict and epidemic, where there are no hospitals, that's where we operate. Your response is critical to our response in places where few others will go. That's where we operate. Learn more at doctorswithoutborders.org.
Baseball season is in full swing. It's a good thing Matt secured his denture with Super Poly Grip. Now he can enjoy the snacks as much as the game.
Poly Grip. Hey, how are you? It's so great to see you.
It's that time of year when the family meets up.
Hi, come on, get together, guys. Family photo.
It's a good thing Jack cleans his denture with Polydent, so he can enjoy the whole day with confidence.
Polydent.
This is a last chance alert. It's happening. In just days, Publishers Clearinghouse will award $5,000 a week for life. Enter now at PCH.com, and you could win $5,000 a week after week, for life. This prize is guaranteed to be awarded on August 30th, so don't miss your last chance to win. Enter at PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Award day is almost here. August 30th, you could win $5,000 a week for life. Go to PCH.com now. Entries due 8/27. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
The proud home of Ben Shapiro. Weekdays, 3 to 6, AM 790 KABC.
They keep on arguing beyond the grave.
This guy sounds like he's in the grave. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and I am Karl Gerber on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We have Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, California, here in studio. And I was discussing with him his little trial he might have with the product liability class action with the Cindy D sex robot and the man getting stuck.
In that case, we should have the trial. I wouldn't mind show up in court wearing only leather vests, maybe tight jeans. Hell, I should show up to court naked. There might still be some of my,
I've never wanted to represent you, but this trial does seem like the golden opportunity for interesting questioning.
I am dancing in my pants. After all these years, you finally will represent me.
No, Rhemus, I was thinking about being on the other side and doing the direct examination on the poor men who got stuck in that robot.
Now, that would be very direct.
There's no dancing around the tube in a situation like this.
Well, I am glad you cleared up that misconception. When you rushed to the live stream on the 4th of July, got Mr. Chang on the phone from the Helms Foundation and cleared up that misconception that the excess fluids from my procreating sex robots in my worldwide distribution center in Fontana interacted with the magna down below and caused 1,000 tiny earthquakes called Swarmageddon in Fontana, California, and ultimately caused the 2 orgasms of the Earth's pressure in Ridgecrest.
It was a busy day in the Oxnard office and all, but I had a duty to the public, my listeners.
Our listeners?
Oh, wait, I thought it was Dr. Chang.
I'm afraid he's still in graduate school.
Then what's the doctor thing all about?
He received a couple of those. They call them honorary doctorates. His research into sexual and non-sexual eruptions is groundbreaking.
Oh, of course. That makes perfect sense.
The massage industry has been excluded from the opportunity zones. That doesn't make me dance in my pants.
Yes, with your girlfriend. I should ask, is Nazuki, the world-famous neuro nurse, your fiancé yet? On episode 63, I sort of heard wedding bells.
No, we're working on a few issues first.
I can only imagine what those issues must be.
Mr. Gerber, perhaps I got a bit overexcited.
Not now, I hope. Not here.
Mr. Gerber, I was referring to the whole opt-in issue on the class action for the men who got stuck.
We haven't even began to get back to how Cindy D feels about the infringement and whether she was fraudulently induced to work at underground operators just so the sex doll could be made based upon all of the misrepresentations about her body and what she was doing when she was on the 99-cent a minute voyeur calls, which I guess are rerun calls.
Mr. Gerber, the Helms Corporation paid $9.99 a minute for thousands of hours of calls. We did not entirely rely on the voyeur calls.
Rhemus, whenever you come on the show, I can never get things off the ground. Away from the world's strangest legal problems you tend to run into.
If you just let me explain, I have another venture, a very sizable venture. One that needs to be quite well endowed. Well, it is well endowed. I was hoping to use profits from the opportunity zones for this venture. But if the sex robot defect case is looming around my moneymaker, no, might not be the time.
You could always pause and wait for a gradual build-up. You don't have to rush.
Mr. Gerber, I only rush when asked to do so. I don't like to overstay my welcome.
I'm not really following this.
Let me spell it out. If Nazuki says she has to do a client training in 10 minutes, I don't want her all worn out.
But if you're out on the Rhemus Helms cosplay ostrich ranch in that city-sized bed of yours, how does Nazuki get over to wherever she does these neuro nurse trainings on mock clients?
Well, those are pretty big events. They're usually at a ballroom in a hotel. She tries to book places close to the Burbank airport if our one-on-one power session is on the calendar.
Rhemus, could you fill us in on the details of your courtship of Nazuki? Maybe not too much detail.
I recently became a minister. I would like to marry as many same-sex couples as possible. They deserve an equal opportunity at misery. The best part about being a minister is that I get to absolve people of their sins. So, by the powers vested in me, you are absolved of your sins.
Really?
You're welcome. Marriage vows are outdated. They were created thousands of years ago. Mary was only 14 when she had Jesus. People typically died in their 30s. It was really easy to vow till death do us part. Now we live to age 100. That's like making a promise of 3 lifetimes. I don't think so. I think it's time for updated vows, like a lease with an option to buy, or till erectile dysfunction do us part.
No, now that you put it to me that way, I could be married to Nazuki for eternity because there is no erectile dysfunction for Rhemus Helms.
I have absolutely no idea.
Who was that talking about marriage vows?
I doubt it. She's still here.
Should I continue?
Okay, that was unusual in many respects. Thenceforth, back to liability is at the rubber hand, even if nobody opts into the class action about getting stuck. I still think there is quite a bit of liability over those injuries and the unauthorized name and likeness as Cindy D.
Mr. Gerber, you've already proven the Cindy D sex robot bears little resemblance to Cindy D.
How exactly have I proven this? I haven't taken it out for a test drive.
Then you admit you're familiar with Cindy D's organ?
I make no such admission.
Have it your way. Have it your way.
As you know, I'm not your lawyer, Rhemus, but you could have $1 billion in potential damage exposure with the whole Cindy D sex robot infringement issue.
Mr. Gerber, $1 billion is hardly of note to my present finances. Do you have any idea how much money I've made off my sex robots procreating? Remember how I told you about the research and development costs? The manufacturing costs of the robots? All wiped away when they're making it with each other. Entire orgies.
There are limits to this show.
Mr. Gerber, I beg to differ. Have you reviewed your analytics for the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube, where all of these old episodes can be heard in the privacy of one's own rickshaw ride through the harem of one's private cosplay ran?
I've reviewed the statistics, the spastics, but as an employee lawyer, I'm not a proponent of human labor in the form of a rickshaw ride.
But you do have a harem on your cosplay ranch in Studio City, do you not?
I have a ranch in Studio City, but it's not a cosplay ranch. It's just your average, ordinary, near acre of flat land in the Hollywood Hills with views for miles.
Then what do you ranch there, if you aren't into swinging, or at least wife-sharing?
I raise genius minds, sometimes weeds. I used to grow tomatoes and cucumbers, but the skunks, raccoons, and lemurs got the best of them.
Suit yourself. A rickshaw ride at dawn through one's cosplay harem is especially pleasing.
There are limits to the bounds of decency, and I go to great lengths to try to preserve them on this show.
Have you succeeded?
I can't help it if all of my guests are referred by you, and they connive their way onto the show, claiming like last week my wife referred her, or early on when Cindy D was dressed up like Mistress Luboff, and I didn't know about Mistress Luboff, and then she got unmasked near the end when she got into that battle with that cosplay robot.
Oh, Mindy last week. Now, how did you feel about the content of that show?
Very distasteful, actually disturbing, yes, in very poor taste. That woman was under the bed when her eldest son, well, when it was his first time, she wanted to make sure everything was safe.
And if you've checked your analytics for that most distasteful episode, even exceeding my tolerance for normalcy...
Your tolerance of normalcy! You have such a thing!
As I was saying, that most distasteful show has led the longest listening periods in the history of one of your episodes. The average listener on the internet listened to 500% the norm of your non-live feeds. With the live feed, they wanted to get every single detail, not miss a thing. If they fast-forwarded anything, I suspect they were the commercials. The average listener heard 96.9% of the show the first 24 hours it was broadcast.
Truly abominable, distasteful, and they can't miss a beat.
Have it your way.
Earlier in this show, you said something about a new, quite sizable venture you want to get into that needs considerable endowment. I feel we've slipped past that whole point of interest.
I wasn't going to break the news on this show so soon.
If it would be premature, we can pull out. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyers Show, and I'm looking for clients to call me even with all this crazy content going on, because if you can write sketch comedy about employment law, you can win the cases. Call me at 877-525-0700 for righteous employee representation. 877-525-0700. Normal business hours, that's 877-525-0700. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyers Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I can't wait to find out what Rhemus Helms says next.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a results-oriented law firm whose goal is to get the client what they deserve. They've represented thousands of California employees who've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or were owed wages on an individualized or group basis, such as a class action. They have a high rate of success. There are few situations involving employment law that they have not confronted. At the forefront of employee rights, they're often the first employee law firm to confront a new legal issue. For an experienced employment lawyer, call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, read more about the firm at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Make your work problem theirs to solve.
AM 790
KABC. Talk Radio 790 KABC News Special Report. I'm Steve Cumming. Police in Northern California are reportedly dealing with an active shooter situation at a garlic festival in Gilroy. KNTV reports that ambulance crews were told to prepare for as many as 11 victims at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. However, the exact number of victims has not been confirmed. A number of ambulances have arrived on the scene, and dozens of police are scouring the area. Gilroy is about 25 miles southeast of San Jose. The shootings began as the Gilroy Festival was wrapping up its last day at Christmas Hill Park. KABC SoCal weather clear this evening, then areas of low clouds and fog overnight with lows in the lower to mid-60s. Then tomorrow, sunny skies with highs from the upper 60s to mid-70s at the beaches to the 80s inland. More news coming up in 30 minutes, continuing coverage at KABC.com. I'm Steve Cumming, Talk Radio 790 KABC News.
Hey, if you're a busy mom on the go like me, dropping the kids off at school, going grocery shopping, and then going to work, who's got time for car maintenance? Hey, it's Jillian, and thankfully, I found Valvoline Instant Oil Change. These guys are quick, convenient. They make vehicle maintenance super easy for busy people like you and moms like me. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is simple. It's a drive-through oil change. I didn't even have to get out of my car. They perform vehicle maintenance on all kinds of cars, domestic and foreign, including Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, and Lexus, plus diesel and hybrid models. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. You drive up, you drive in, and then you drive out with a complete oil change in 15 minutes or less. No appointment needed. It's so quick, you don't even get out of your car. I'm telling you, it's my new favorite thing. You're never very far from Valvoline Instant Oil Change. So go to SoCalOilChange.com for locations, coupons, and a list of services. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. You drive up, you drive in, and you drive out in 15 minutes or less. You gotta love that. Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
The epic love story of our time, Miss Saigon. Direct from Broadway. Don't miss the acclaimed new production of Miss Saigon.
Landing in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Pantages Theater, July 16th through August 11th. Visit Ticketmaster.com now.
You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to launch your own business. Visit expressfranchising.com today. Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. We're the #1 staffing franchise in a multi-billion-dollar industry. Mature Express offices average $6.4 million in annual sales. Take the $25K and run. Your own business. Get to know Express. Act now. Visit expressfranchising.com.
The 6,600-watt megaphone of clear thinking. AM 790 KABC.
They keep on arguing beyond the grave. It's been motion subject.
Talk Radio 790 KBC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I have Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, live in studio. Before we broke, he was telling us about how he wants to use the 8,700 Trump empowerment zones to put a factory or two for manufacturing sex robots.
Mr. Gerber, I've always felt this show gives the most in-depth, most accurate coverage of matters related to the Rhemus Helms Corporation and the Helms Foundation. Do we have a lot of time this evening?
Well, we do. We aren't even halfway through this nightmare.
Then I shall break the story here on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show that I hope is being live-streamed by all of my friends on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube.
Let's take a breather and give out my phone number at the office. Once you disclose whatever it is you plan to disclose, my reputation could be ruined forever.
Mr. Gerber, breaking this news on this show should boost your ratings well beyond... what else is on at this time?
How would I know? I'm always here in Culver City doing these shows live.
Okay, here it goes. I've been thinking of sponsoring a sporting event.
Hopefully not something involving medieval sacrifices.
Nah, just because I challenged Molly Machete to a jousting match for jury foreperson back on, what was it, episode 29, that doesn't mean I'm a medievalist.
Yes, but Ignatius J. Riley is.
Indeed. He's teaching over at the university where my brother Demas is inspiring through the whole Tom of Finland art program. I think Cindy Dees Vargine is taking one of Ignatius J. Riley's courses.
It must be, well, being that he was merely a character in a Pulitzer Prize-winning book, how is that working?
No, he's real. Actually, for those dead profs, it might just be a hologram. Or a robot.
Well, I wish you well on this sporting event you're going to sponsor, whatever it is.
Don't you want to know what it is? People, they do things, you know, all nationalities.
Well, this sounds noble. Hopefully the profits will go to a good cause.
I've been doing a lot of contemplating lately. If Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M's biggest client, can be evicted next year, about 4 months past July, and even if he isn't, well, if he isn't, we'll need my games even more. Mr. Gerber, With my fortune, I can't sit back while every country is mad at the United States. I'm a red, white, and blue, but not too much blue in my life, though, candidly, I've got a little sore and red a few times.
Stop beating around the bush and dive in, my man. What is this event you're contemplating that will somehow achieve world peace?
I'm going to start a new Olympics.
I don't know. We've already got a few. I know you're the most important man in Sun Valley, California and all, but the Olympics, they go back to the age of the Greeks. My God, is Rhemus Helms important enough that he could start a tradition like that?
If I married Nazuki, she's related to Yoko Ono, and that would make me related to John Lennon, and he said he was bigger than Jesus. He didn't have 14 inches either. I've got a copy of that album of his. If that's all he's got in front of his woman, he could have been more than 6 or 7 inches, I think.
Seriously, Nazuki shows up in related searches on the internet. She bears no genetic or marital relationship to Yoko Ono.
Why do you keep saying that way?
Rhemus, you've got to come back to Earth.
As I was saying, your distasteful show grabbed the attention span of people for longer than, well, not longer than my moneymaker, of course. But
one person commented that you come across a bit self-absorbed.
Mr. Gerber, who else has a larger worldwide distribution center in Fontana, California? Who else has procreating sex robots? A bed the late, great Tom Wolfe described as a metropolitan city, but mostly the red light district. Who else has all
Have it your way, have it your way.
And that, I said that on the set of a very respectable blue film, and not long afterwards, a New York advertising agency stole my jingle.
Excuse me, but I have to say a sponsorship plug. This program is made possible through the generous funding of the Helms Foundation's $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
Pretty soon, when I become known for founding the 4th Olympics, you'll have to put that in the sponsorship plug.
You're really going to found the 4th Olympics?
Mr. Gerber, what do you think of the Special Olympics?
As a disability discrimination attorney and someone involved in that community, I can tell you there are 4.9 million athletes with intellectual disabilities involved in the Special Olympics around the world. There are more than 1 million coaches and volunteers. There are 223 national and U.S. programs in 173 countries.
And it started only 51 years ago, around the same time as that clothless John and Yoko Ono album. Now, in my case, my Olympics will grow and grow and grow faster than the Special Olympics. Of course, we will have a category for persons with intellectual and physical disabilities. I had a dream. You recommended that.
Well, if you're going to open up this Olympics of yours, let's make it a complete equal inclusion. Age should be also included.
I was rather thinking of a special category for 50 and older, 60 and older, 70 and older, 80 and older, 90 and older, and then 100 and older. I've encountered quite a few octogenarian athletes.
Well, yes, I recall a story about an over 100-year-old track star runner not too long ago.
And every country will be invited. I rather fancy those accommodations. Yes, I do imagine they will attend. This won't be like those silly Olympic people have to train for their whole lives.
Well, this is quite interesting and theoretical, but how would this work? We are talking about sports, are we not?
The greatest American sport.
Oh, this whole thing is about baseball?
I never thought of that. Yeah, it's like a Ben Gurion ball. We most certainly could have that category.
Yes, but what sport is this all about?
It's an entire Olympics. It isn't just about one act.
Are these ball sports based upon cardiovascular, one-on-one, events with many people on teams, small teams, or big teams?
All of the above.
Well, how is this different than the existing Olympics other than you'll have people of an advanced age?
Mr. Gerber, feast your eyes on the Rhemus Helms Sexual Olympics.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, who'd want to see a thing like that? Oh, so much of the same.
Yeah, they'd be different categories.
As in age groups?
Mr. Gerber, use your imagination. There are thousands of positions. Add objects. Mix it up by same sex. Heterosexual. Many participants in the same event.
Who want to participate in this?
Preliminary marketing reports show 95% of the male population will strive to exceed in these Olympics. And 45% of the female population between ages 30 and 40, and 75% over 45.
Where did you get these statistics?
The Helms Corporation has conducted internet surveys throughout the world.
How much did that cost?
Not much. We get about 1 billion users a week in different places around the Middle East and Africa.
Well, what about the United States and Europe?
Yeah, about 1 billion users.
You mean to tell us that literally every person alive in Europe and the U.S. goes to one of your sites on a weekly basis?
Daily. What else do you think people do? Go shopping in malls? Go see a movie? Meet friends and lovers at dances? Where are you living, Mr. Gerber? Oh, yeah, I forgot. A cosplay ranch in the Hollywood Hills.
I thought I made it quite clear I don't operate a cosplay ranch. You do.
We have ostriches also.
Where would this sexual Olympics be televised?
Television? Oh, God. Who cares about television? Naturally, the Helms Corporation would have all broadcast rights. We might broadcast a little on one of our vintage VHS sites, or maybe even Sexbook.
Sexbook?
The Helms Corporation owns the world's largest social networking site for chronicling one's sexual exploits. Mr. Gerber, don't you have an account?
Me? Absolutely not!
Let me show you how it works.
How what works?
Mr. Gerber, just sit back and look at my tablet. Now, see? We're on Sexbook right now.
What's with all these close-ups?
Mr. Gerber, don't you know what that is?
Yikes! I don't want to see this! Wait, this is sexbook.com?
No, rocks.
How does this relate to employment law?
Do you think you could say something and get the corporations to stop blocking their employees from going on Sexbook?
No, I don't think employees should abuse their employers' resources and go on such questionable sites.
Questionable?
No, this is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We've got Rhemus Helms live in studio, and it's crazy as usual. But if you really want to talk to a real workplace lawyer, I hope you'll give me a call. And actually, I'm a women's rights activist. I can be reached at 877-525-0700 for a real discrimination lawyer of the employment variety. That's 877-525-0700. If you have a class action, I'll do all the work on it. I don't even use my lawyers who work for me for those. If it's about wages or something, I can be reached at 877-525-0700. Once again, 877-525-0700 for the real employment lawyer, Karl Gerber. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We'll be back in a minute, and I don't know what else Rhemus Helms is going to tell us.
The Employment Lawyers Group is a results-driven law firm whose goal is to get the right result for the client. They have represented employees with a high rate of success since 1993 throughout the state of California. They're only paid and if they are able to collect money from the employer, so there's not any upfront fees or costs in order to hire them. They have represented thousands of employees who've been terminated from their jobs, sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or are owed wages in an individualized or group basis such as a class action. Call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have operators standing by. They can also be reached at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Hire them and make your workplace problem theirs to solve.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising. This ad is sponsored by Case Legal Media. Attention. This is an important message for anyone that has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. The Internal Agency for Research on Cancer warned that overexposure to Roundup and other weed killers may increase the risk of developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secret since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to warn of the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call us now at 800-912-6114. Our network of attorneys are ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call now for a free consultation at 800-912-6114. You must protect your legal rights. Call 800-912-6114. Again, 800-912-6114.
Need to get organized? Today is the day for doing with the Home Depot's Pack Store Save event. Put your basement or garage in order with a range of Husky welded steel shelves, including a 4-tier 77-inch rack, just $169. That'll save you $30. Easy to assemble, each shelf has a lifetime warranty and holds up to 1,500 pounds. That gets a lot out of your way. Come into the Pack Store Save event, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid until August 25th while supplies last.
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
The beacon of common sense. AM 790 KABC.
They keep on arguing beyond
Talk Radio
the grave.
790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, and we have Rhemus Helms live in studio. Rhemus, a rack, that's a slang word. Like the commercial said, a rack is like a shelf. Oh, boy, guys. With Rhemus Helms, it's always weird. Yeah, I think we have a lot in common because I don't know about you, but I have running water at my house. Oh, Rhemus, you were telling us about this sex book thing of yours,
Yeah,
the website.
You should know that all of these images are personally verified by somebody from the Helms Corporation. None of these pictures or videos are edited. These are real-life experiences.
Yeah, but if an employee viewed this content at work, it surely would create a sexually hostile work environment.
And more. It could give them ideas. Wonderful ideas. Not long ago, I was relaxing with a candy striper and a warm paper cup of wax and goat's milk. I noted the other kind of diving content, and I got to thinking, Mr. Gerber, do you dumpster dive?
No, but I dumpster load. Those dumpster divers might find salvageable construction materials in my dumpsters.
The kind of diving I'm talking about on Sexbook. It's all a contest. Why not have an Olympics?
You do know that Olympic Boulevard was originally called 10th Street, but it got renamed Olympic Boulevard when we had the 32 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Yes, and the neighborhood council over in Sun Valley, California, is renaming all streets to the Rhemus Helms Cosplay Ostrich Ranch Olympic.
Your girth never ceases to amaze me.
You seen it?
The one thing I'd be concerned about with these particular Olympics are performance-enhancing drugs.
Gentlemen, if your goddess is not giving you boom-boom, you're doing it wrong. Ladies, you have to tell him. He has balls, but they're not crystal balls.
Rhemus, stop taking your pants off. I don't care if she wants to see.
Mr. Gerber, have you ever been in the boom-boom room?
Well, this is one thing I want to clarify right here, right now. Comics never steal other comics material. As everyone knows, I write the entirety of these scripts every week. But if you hear a comedian come on and say something funny like you just did, I didn't write it. I might have cleaned it up, I might have made it funnier, and I might not have.
Mr. Gerber, The Boom Boom Room is a place where one's desires are instantaneously taken care of.
I don't want to hear any more about this birds and bees stuff.
Hello, I'm Goddess Gloria. I'm a healer.
I suffered a minor esophagus strain due to these hiccups I told everyone about that I had for 2 minutes on Monday. Can you heal me? Please!
I am ever more aware of the reality that I am you, you are me, and we are one. So if I bomb, you bomb.
You said it!
I had just begun using the phrase boom boom room. I distinctly recall being on the set of Dracula Sucks. I'm certain you saw the sucking scene. They had to use me for the American version. Oh, that guy wasn't up to standard.
Rhemus, we don't want to hear about this. And then again, if you were in such a disgusting film in 1973, you must be 63 or 64, which you have categorically denied.
I was active in 73. You might remember Invasion of the Bee Girls.
I can't say I do.
Well, it was released in June of 73. It was based upon a true story about women who turned into bees because there wasn't a man capable of satisfying them.
That sounds like a dreadful movie.
Luckily, I stopped the town from total and complete destruction.
How's that?
I was the town's savior. Who else could satisfy the bee girls?
This is ludicrous.
You call it ludicrous? They made a movie about it.
We need to connect back to nature and behave natural. You don't see bees comparing themselves to other bees. They just coexist.
Oh, no more bee stuff.
Did you know that bee colonies are run by queens?
Yes!
High five. Queen Boss gets to tell all the boy bees what to do.
I like this already.
300 of you, go get food. 200 of you, tend to the babies. 500 of you, tend to me.
Correction, I tend to the queen bee. That's all she needs.
I should write children's books.
Why? She isn't telling us.
Because that joke is not appropriate for children.
That's too bad. I sort of like the story. It would, however, be better if the McDonald's girl told it to me laying in my boom boom room. You do know, after visiting my bedroom community, Tom Robbins invented the term boom boom room.
Rhemus, I gotta tell you something. There are multiple levels of inconsistencies with this claim. For one, the play came out in 73, that's in the Boom Boom Room, and you were but a fledgling fluffer, and I guess savior to the community with the Bee Girls.
Mr. Gerber, have you seen the movie? I would hardly say they were bees.
Oh, there's no winning here. Why not? Let's just go back to the sexual Olympics because there's a question I'm dying to ask. Are you planning, Rhemus? Are you planning to compete in the sexual Olympics?
No, that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, it's got to at least be a fair contest.
Mr. Gerber, would you like to participate?
You know something? I think I'm going to take a pass on this one. How about this, Rhemus? Just send me a postcard. Actually, send it out, but don't put a stamp on it.
Goddess, would you like to participate in my Olympics? You can be the queen bee.
I'd be willing to do set there.
A set? I don't want to find out what that means.
Well, at least she knows how to get ahead. Imagine that billing, a headliner. At first, Rhemus
She
Helms
wants to do a
sexual
comedy set. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Rhemus Helms Sexual Olympics. Where should I hold this? I know I'll build a coliseum in Canyon County. No. There's so much land in the Inland Empire. But it'd give the place a bad name.
Why is that? Oh, the distasteful nature of the event.
No, the traffic. All the people on the roller skates, hamsters and wheels, all the electric Tesla exhaust. You know how it is, Mr. Gerber.
Oh, yeah, I completely understand. I don't so much mind the hamsters and wheels, but those Tesla fumes. Why not just turn the Inland Empire into a big electric cigarette?
Well, that's a thought. And it brings me to this most important point. Just this morning, I heard Father Rishi Udinsky on the Madman Prayer Network. He said if he could shrink every one of his adhesives into a vape juice, he'd ADV. That's all-day vape. His advice is kicking, lung hitting without any nick juice, and it wouldn't be no A juice.
Now, that's a little too much vape slang for me. Maybe you, Rhemus, and Father Rye, that's Father Rishi Udinsky, maybe the two of you should get together and figure out how to take over the world.
Mr. Gerber, the only one who wants to take over the world is Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M. And he's going to do it through ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon, but keep growing and growing and growing, sort of like my you-know-what-I-think.
Or you and Father Rye could figure out how to stop the menace that is Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M.
Mr. Gerber, there are some bodies of nylon that not even I can penetrate.
That I do not believe. Well, this is Rhemus Helms is here, and so is Gloria Goddess. Okay, so I think in the beginning of this, we heard a little bit about class actions and the fact that in California, under California law, you have to opt out of them or you're automatically in them. But under federal law, you have to opt in. So with this most delicate class action involving the men getting stuck in the Cindy D robot, maybe in order for their names to be disclosed to the lawyers, they should have to opt in because a California case says that might be possible if a privacy right is violated. So if you want to talk to me during the week at my office, and I do appreciate the new client calls about real employment cases, I can be reached at 877-525-0700. I really am a workplace lawyer representing employees since 1993. I can be reached at 877-525-0700. I've done more pregnancy discrimination trials than any others. I've done a lot of sexual harassment trials too. So I can be reached at 877-525-0700 for a lawyer that's going to give a performance that the other side is not going to be able to match up to. That's 877-525-0700 for cross-examination. It sounds like what you just heard on this show, on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, heard every Sunday from 7 to 8 on this station. Have a wonderful week of workplace abuse!
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
Heading out of town for a much-needed vacation, but afraid you'll miss your favorite KABC shows? Don't worry. Get AM790 KABC wherever you go. Get it online at KABC.com. Get it on demand with the free KABC app. And get